but this is more of a current event thing that I saw, and I just wanted to throw this out there. So apparently, Emmet Till's accuser admits that her accusations against Emmet Till were false.
Should we give a bit of background on Emmet Till?
Absolutely. So Emmet Till is a young kid. This whole thing starts like in 1955. Emmet Till is 14 years old. He goes into a store.
This is during segregation.
Yes, this is during segregation. Goes into a store. A white woman by the name of Carolyn Bryant claims that he makes some lewd comments to her, grabs her by the hand. She like, oh my gosh, no! And like goes over to...
She's all innocent.
Right, of course. She's so innocent and offended. She runs off to her, I believe, sister, and 14-year-old Emmet Till walks up to her, grabs her by the waist, and starts, making comments about like, oh, don't worry, girl, I've been with a white woman before, and da-da-da. And like, it's just being super, super physically and verbally aggressive. By her words, some other black guy comes and grabs Emmet Till, and they go outside. Emmet Till gets in the car, and Wolf whistles at her as they drive away. This ended up resulting in Emmet Till's death by way of her husband and a couple other individuals. They basically beat him to death. Gouged his eyes out, wrapped him in barbed wire, shot him, and like just went way, 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 way over the top.
It's bad. It's really super bad. As bad as you think it is, it's worse than that. Like what happened?
I would definitely suggest Googling Emmet Till open casket for anyone who's not familiar. His mother, after the body was found,
I'm not sure I want to see that, to be honest.
It's pretty bad.
That's probably pretty bad.
It's very bad. But his mother, decided that she wanted to do an open casket because she wanted to send a message on just how severe the situation was and just how bad of a situation things were socially. The fact that you have a group of grown men who were willing to do something like this to what is a boy over
and get away with it.
Legally,
they went to court. They went through the motions of rounding these people up, the main people, and taking them to court and trying them, and then after an hour they let them off.
Yeah.
That's like when you shoplift when you're 10, but your mom is friends with the shopkeeper.
That's exactly what that's like. That's exactly what that's like. It's crazy. So now
anyway,
so I'm on the Wikipedia page here, and just briefly, Emmet Louis Till, July 25th, 1941 to August 28th, 1955, was an African-American teenager who was lynched in Mississippi at the age of 14 after reportedly flirting with a white woman. The brutality of his murder and the fact that his killers were acquitted drew attention to the long history of persecution of African Americans in the United States, and Till posthumously became an icon of the civil rights movement. Till was from Chicago, Illinois, and visiting relatives in Money, a small town in the Mississippi Delta region. He spoke to a 21-year-old Carolyn Bryant, the married proprietor of a small grocery store there. Several nights later, Bryant's husband and his half-brother J.W. Milliam went to Till's great-uncle's house and abducted the boy. They took him away and beat and mutilated him before shooting him and sinking his body in the Tallahatchie River. 3 days later, Till's body was discovered and retrieved from the river. Till's body was returned to Chicago. His mother, who had mostly raised him, insisted on a public funeral service with an open casket to show the world the brutality of the killing. The open coffin funeral held by Mammy Till Bradley exposed the world to more than her son Emmet Till's bloated, mutilated body. Her decision focused attention not only on American racism and the barbarism of lynching, but also on the limitations and vulnerabilities of American democracy. Just a little random fact out there, something that's not known is this Emmet Till case actually played a much bigger role in the grander scheme of the civil rights movement, including Rosa Parks, who kind of stated that it was this situation which was a large motivating factor and one of the primary things that was going through her mind when she decided not to get up off the bus, when she decided to maintain her seat and all of that. And what's really unfortunate is the lady now is 82 years old. and she's admitted through a couple books.
In a 2008 interview first made public in 2017, Carolyn Bryant, the lady, disclosed that she had fabricated her testimony and that Till had made verbal or physical advances toward her. So, yeah, did she say what this kid actually did do? What Emmet Till did do?
From the articles I've read, it doesn't specify that. It simply said that she's admitted that she lied about him touching her, making any kind of physical contact. And I think there was a couple where they implied that, you know, she wasn't being forthright about the verbal aspect of it either. But either way, what's unfortunate is she's essentially going to get away with this scot-free. You know, there's some people talking about, you know, maybe having some charges pressed for lying to the FBI and obstruction of justice and things like that. But I guess there's like a 5-year window where you can make something happen with that, and it's well beyond that at this point. So, you know, it's on one hand, I'm glad to see that like the story behind that has come out. It's not just
that's important.
You know, well, we believe that she made this up. It's like, no, she admitted to it. On that side of things, I'm glad that clarity is there. On the other hand, it's just kind of disappointing and sad that it's, or anticlimactic, I guess is maybe a better word.
I mean, it goes without saying that what she did was terrible. What happened to this kid is terrible. What happened to vast amounts of black people pre-civil and just you know throughout times is terrible. This is not that isolated, is it? This happened to other people too. This just happened to got more, you know, publicity. Look at it from this woman's perspective. How do you change that now? How does that, if you try to look at it from her perspective, how do you see that now?
What do you mean?
Do you give her any credit for telling the truth now? Do you think that maybe she didn't mean for him? Like, is there any redeeming factor? Is she as bad as you thought she was prior to this? Did she maybe not mean for Emmet Till to be? Did she not think that her husband would do that, or half brother or whatever would do what they did?
It's hard to say without having read the books that she has made her admission in. I don't feel like this was a hugely redeeming factor for her, and the reason that she came clean. And the reason why I say that is she's 82, she's on her way out.
Yeah.
I'm sure she, lawyered up before making her statement and kind of realized there's not going to be any real legal repercussion.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That's almost certain. That
so basically, I feel kind of bad about this. I'm gonna die soon, so I just want to get this off my chest.
Yeah,
that's kind of the vibe. Again, I didn't read the books. I don't know everything she said, but that is my suspicion. And in that, you sat on this for how many decades? Yeah. I don't really particularly feel like you've redeemed yourself by admitting to this, when you're going to die in another, 2 years,